I have been obsessed with my dreams for the longest time. It has been so cool to be a co-creator in my dreams and kind of understand how my my subconscious, works and what exactly is trying to be called to the forefront. I also believe that the dream space is a pathway where our spirit guides, our infinite self, the highest version of us that we can create in this lifetime exists. And this is how they help us to get to where we want to go. And so please notice that I'm talking about the infinite version of our own selves, not outsourcing power, because I think that that is something that I need to hammer home. You are so powerful and you can unlock so much in this lifetime if you really want to. And if you're new here, my name is Bianca. I am a mindset and manifestation coach and expert. I absolutely love being able to serve my clients. I help women to clear subconscious blockages in order to create a life that they truly love. So I'm so happy that you're here. Let's get into this dream because it's very fascinating. I have been having a slew of psychic dreams lately, or call them intuitive dreams, however you feel it resonates with you. And um, the dream that I had, it was foreshadowing something that actually did happen. So that's the coolest part about this dream. So let's get into it. In the dream, I was back at my old apartment or duplex that I used to live with my children's father. And we're divorced now, just as an FYI if you're new here. But, anyways, so we're in the duplex and there's a ton of chaos happening. And as things are going on, like the kids are younger, or at least they feel younger. And there is definitely some remnants coming up from past experiences, but also new things happening. So I'm on a call, a work call, and I'm trying to have a meeting with someone who is actually a really prominent figure in the social media space when it comes to entrepreneurship and making money online. So her and I are trying to chat. And as we're trying to chat, there's a lot of interference happening with my kids. And in the dream, I'm going to emphasize that it's a dream. Their dad is not really like helping out. And so I'm trying to like console my son while trying to talk with her. And she's kind of losing interest. And it felt like it was meant to be some type of business pitch to help me to get to where I wanted to go with entrepreneurial goals. So long story short, it ended up being that, she was like, hey, I've got stuff to do. And she was actually doing a lot too, but she was like maintaining a calmer state than I was. Then again, she didn't have her twins with her. She was just on her own with like a team of people, adults. And we ended up cutting the video short, and I felt like the world had shattered around me and I lost this like major opportunity. There was a lot of really beautiful lessons. Let me just stop and say there, a lot of beautiful lessons that came up for me there because they were actually reflections of my old mindsets. That's what's kind of beautiful again about dreams, but I know you want to get to the psychic part. Okay. So we'll come back to that later. So after that whole dream scene, waking life, right? I'm going through my work day and I get a call from my kid's dad. And he says, hey, do you know the kids are off of school tomorrow? And I was like, you're joking, because I have the kids. And he was like, yeah, they're off of school. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I don't have a babysitter. And I don't like to divulge anything in terms of like the 9-to-5 job. But what I will say is that there was a lot happening that was crucial for me to be there. And I could not take time away from work. Or more so, I didn't want to take time away from work because it would have been disastrous. And that's not a control thing. That's like true statement. So let's shift back. So because I'm covering the kids, or the kids are with me, I knew I couldn't cover the kids necessarily because it would be definitely difficult. If you're new here, I have a kiddo who has severe autism. He's nonverbal. And my other kiddo has ADHD, there's a lot happening all the time, right? We're, I guess, high energy people. But nonetheless, they definitely require my full attention. So I'm thinking, what do I do? Because their sitter wasn't scheduled to come until like a certain time. And she actually works in a school district, not in the one the kids are in. And so there was no way that she would be able to actually come and help out. So their dad covers. So can you imagine what unfolds, right? So we're in waking life and their dad is here and the kids are being like taken care of by him. Now, it's not anything that I had to necessarily cover, but there were a few catastrophes that happened that like never happened. And I was like, okay, I feel like I was being prepared like a little bit for this. And I got a few knocks at the door in my bedroom because I have my office set up in here. And I was like, okay, at least I feel a little bit better knowing that it was kind of coming after I figured out that, or not figured out, after I was told by their dad that they didn't have school. So it's kind of funny how psychic dreams work, right? Because I had literally no idea that they had off of school. And this is a new school. So I guess let me say that, like in terms of like how correspondences are done, I feel like it's a whole new cadence that I'm still trying to get used to because it's the beginning of October and school just started in the beginning of September. So we're still trying to find a flow, right? So anyways, I think it's really cool how dreams work and when something like that happens, because the truth was that I was emotionally and mentally prepared for what was coming, right? Because if anybody has a flow and a structure to how they do their everyday, especially if you have kiddos on the spectrum or ADHD, I feel like kind of falls in that same category in terms of like routine and having things set. Like it can be tough when suddenly it's different, and different meaning A, no school, B, dad actually being here in my apartment and watching them, for a good amount of the day, and C, like just a whole different feel to the day in general. And luckily we still had their nanny come over like around 4 o'clock, and that was really, really helpful to kind of bring a little bit of like homeostasis again. But it's brilliant when you get to this point of like leaning in, bringing it back to you. When you get to the point of like really, really like leaning in to your dream space and how magical it can be, and also how magical you are. And I really mean that, like not in necessarily like a Harry Potter kind of way, but like really, I mean that. You have this ability to co-create with the universe. You have this ability to call in the things that you want. And you do that by getting really clear on what you want. And the way that you actually get clear on what you want is first understanding what it is in the current state of you. Like, what are the belief systems? What are the things that are happening in your everyday life that you feel don't fully resonate with you? And you know what I'm talking about. It's the prickly like the prickly, I wanted to say prickly pieces, the prickly sensations that you get like in the back of your neck, like in your shoulders, even maybe in your stomach, like when something's happening that does not feel right, or it is the feeling of pressure, like energetic pressure, almost like a magnet, right? Magnet pulling backwards, not forward. And where it's like, no, this doesn't work. And that's not necessarily out of fear. It's something telling you like, this is not aligned. It could be a job. It could be, a relationship with a person. It could be the way that you think about something. It could be anything. So these are all different types of nudges that we get when we're being told by our infinite self, right? The infinite version of us that we can create in this lifetime. It exists because time is not linear. And so that version of you is like, this doesn't work. This, that doesn't work. Like, don't do it. Change it. And one of the most difficult things when you're feeling stuck is to believe that you can change something, is to believe that you can change a belief in an instant, that you can change a situation. And a belief can be changed in an instant. A situation technically could be changed in an instant if you look at it from a lens of you change in the situation, right? Because like, oh, but tomorrow it's going to be the same thing. It might be the same thing in terms of how the other pieces play out. But if you are different in how you look at it and how you perceive it, it starts to change. It's really, really beautiful to understand how our electromagnetic field works, right? It is the field that surrounds us because we are energetic beings. So all of what we believe, all of our experiences, all of the stories that we have told ourselves or that others have told us and we have absorbed in circulate around us every single day. This is why you're met with the same type of partner that you just have to keep kicking to the curb. This is the same reason why you end up at the job that seems to somehow play out the same exact way over and over again. This is how it ends up where maybe you end up in a certain situation with money over and over and over again. Or maybe it's that you're struggling with something physically and you're like, why does this keep happening to me? When you're asking the question, why does it keep happening to me? You know that life is, your infinite self is trying to send you a big sign to say, we're trying to help you to understand that this can change. Now, in terms of substituting anything like for, medical diagnoses or things like that, that's not what we're talking about here necessarily. We're talking about belief systems. We're talking about, the things that can happen to us when we're being met with resistance, because there are illnesses can actually manifest in the body because we're constantly resisting something that we actually need to move towards. A good example is like if you're at a job that you don't like and you're constantly getting sick all the time and you're like, what the heck? And then suddenly you moved to another job and you're like, whoa, I'm not getting sick anymore. Okay, that is a prime example. So I say these things very lightheartedly, of course, because I know that there's a lot of situations out there, right? But what I want to get at is that if you're looking to start to change your mindset, if you're looking to shift what exists right now in your electromagnetic field, if you're looking to focus on creating a life that you love rather than trying to do something out of spite or show them, things like that, it's not about proving yourself to other people. What I teach is about how to come home to yourself. It's actually not about other people at all. It's all about you. And that can be really hard for some people to absorb because we're taught in so many different ways by so many different constructs and institutions and systems and people that to think of ourselves first is bad. But I teach you that thinking about yourself first is actually good. And how did we even get here from a whole slew of Bianca sharing her dreams? Because our subconscious speaks. Our subconscious speaks to us every day. Our infinite self, the version of us that we have the ability to create and bring in this lifetime, the highest, most infinite version of us, meaning doing everything that we've ever wanted to do and more, is nudging us and talking to us while we're sleeping. Because why? When we are sleeping, we are in these beautiful brain waves that help us to start to absorb things in a very different way. If you've known anything about manifesting and if you have looked at other content out there, they will tell you that the best times to manifest, the best times to really start to speak to your subconscious is when you first wake up and when you're ready to go to bed. Because you're starting to enter into the brain waves of alpha and theta, and these are the same brain waves that actually can be conjured when we're taking a shower or when we're in water, and it's really cool. We'll get into that another time. But I bring all of this up because when we dream, there is so much coming out because we are in these states of impressionability. We're in the states of openness where all of the things that we have created around us because of beliefs instilled in us from parents, beliefs instilled in us from religious institutions, beliefs instilled in us from the educational system. I mean, I could go on forever. All of those things are shut off when we sleep. That's why you have dreams that you can fly, because there is nobody telling you can't. So, if you have felt any sort of little inspiration within you that's saying, hey, maybe she knows what she's talking about, hey, maybe this is something that I should explore, then I have a program coming out called REWIRE. And REWIRE is designed to speak to your subconscious in really, really, really cool ways. I mentioned that I have a kiddo who is severely autistic, and he is nonverbal. And I have another kiddo, they're twins, who has ADHD. My kiddos are sensory seekers, and I've learned a lot about the brain just from observing them and understanding their wants and needs. And I've learned a lot about me too. Now, before I had my kids, of course, or even in the journey of becoming a mom, I've been studying neuroscience and spirituality, and I've learned a lot about how we can make our subconscious more impressionable. And so I've built that into this course, and I'm really excited to be able to offer it at these early bird prices for right now, because once I feel like I've been called to enroll the people that have been most aligned and most called to take it, the price will change. And that's just kind of the nature of how it goes. It is incredibly valuable. Honestly, I'm super excited about it. My ears are even burning as I'm talking to you about it. And it's really cool how it infuses like ways that we used to connect with ourselves when we were children, when we were teenagers, especially teenager, and how we're able to kind of mesh that all into adulthood and be able to put ourselves in more of a peaceful Zen state, aka calling in alpha theta brainwaves, and being able to have this like really cool paired audio that speaks to your subconscious. These are not subliminal messages, by the way. You actually hear the messages and you feel the music and you do your activities that I have carefully crafted and designed. So cool. It's seriously so cool. Anyways, so if REWIRE sounds like your jam, please go for it. If you want to know about any of my other content, I'll drop the links below. You can check it out. I have some free stuff too. But either way, I hope you've enjoyed this little it was not tall tale. It was real. It was real about my dream, my psychic dream. And I'll catch you later.